Tell me your name and what is RFA?
Robert White, the Renewable Fuels Association, otherwise known as RFA.
What do you stand for?
We represent the ethanol producers here in the United States, and we're trying to build demand for ethanol and its co-products.
So, in the behind of us, there's a generator, fuel generator. How are you going to beat this?
Well, our plan is we're going to work on ways to replace the diesel that's in the generator at a lower cost and a lower emissions and ultimately lower carbon.
So what do you have here? What this car?
So this is a 2018 Jeep Wrangler that has a very large engine in it. It is a 7-liter engine, supercharged, running on 85% ethanol. And we're using this to demonstrate increased horsepower, lower fuel price, and cleaner emissions.
So why this is better?
Well, ultimately 3 major things. It's cleaner burning, so lower emissions, greenhouse gases, and carbon. It is renewable, so we can make it over and over. And ultimately, it's made here, so it's domestic product, domestic jobs, and we don't have to go to another country for it.
What do consumers think about that?
Well, the consumers are still learning. First, it's the price that probably draws them in, and then the environmental benefits are the fact that the corn is just across the road and made into ethanol down the road.
You think it's going to grow? What's the major difficulty?
Well, I think it's definitely going to grow. The major difficulty remains the oil industry. They do not want to give up any market share. The gallon is decreasing, right? The number of vehicles, fuel economy, electric vehicles, so there's going to be stronger competition as we grow.
What do you say for those that think that electric vehicles are better? Why ethanol is better?
Well, I think electric vehicles are going to have their place. There are certain parts of the country where it makes sense. Here in rural America, it's going to be a tough sell. We do have a lot of coal generation for power, and so I guess the best explanation is the electric vehicle is not a zero emission vehicle, and when all things are considered from inputs to outputs, ethanol can definitely compete with the electric vehicle.
Do you think the major problem is availability of electricity and batteries?
I think where the rare earth minerals are coming from and their limited supply, who's producing the cars or putting the cars together, and then ultimately our limited power generation we have today and where that power is coming from, and then ultimately at the end of the life cycle of that battery, how do we dispose of them?
How do you think the politics and the government is reacting to this?
Well, the government is definitely pushing electric vehicles in many fashions. We remain engaged at the state and federal levels to make sure that ethanol still remains a high value opportunity. And again, it's something we can reduce emissions and lower carbon now. We don't have to wait for the electric vehicle.
And you think it's just ethanol from corn, or you think you're going to have ethanol from other plants?
We will have ethanol from other feedstocks. Right now, corn is king. We have a lot of corn, we have a lot of access, and we're pretty good at logistics of getting it anywhere in the country. But we will have more grain sorghum, we will have other waste starch. It will continue to expand on what our ethanol comes from.
The percentage on the fuels in the U.S.?
Sure, so we have 205 ethanol production facilities, and they make a little over 17.5 billion gallons annually. And here in the United States, we have essentially 3 blends of ethanol. Almost every gallon of gasoline here contains 10% ethanol. We do have E15, and that is approved as 15% ethanol and approved for 2001 and newer vehicles. And then of course we have E85, which is 85% ethanol, and we're restricted to flex fuel vehicles, which is about 10% of our vehicle fleet today.
What is your message for Brazilians, consumers and Brazilians productions on this matter of ethanol?
Well, we appreciate the relationship we have with Brazil. We would like that to continue to improve. We take ethanol from Brazil, and we also send ethanol to Brazil. So it's an important relationship that we love to develop even better.